Hello, my name is Mauricio Gris. This is my submission for the Design Excellence Award competition for the project of ARC 608 Urban Dwelling. The project title is Russell Lofts and Farm, which is an equitable housing project located in the Castleberry Hill Historic District of the city of Atlanta, Georgia. For this project, I really want to divide it into 4 different categories, starting with culture and environment, concept and informed decisions, tectonics, and finally, some visualization. So to understand the story of the site, we really need to understand the surroundings. And this is the Castleberry Hill Historic District, which was at some point a major industrial district because of its connection to the historic railroad, which connected the cities of Augusta and Atlanta and made the city a major distribution center. In addition to that, it is nowadays a direct adjacency to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Over the years, of course, the industrial center evolved into a mostly mixed-use residential area, which is where the site sits in right now. And looking at the majority demographic of this place, it is composed of mainly African American residents between the ages of 25 to 35 years of age, most of them paying rent of about $1,700 and generating a median salary of about $57,000 and $234. But I didn't want to just stop there. I wanted to put a face in the people that I was designing for. People such as Alfonso Cross, the commissioner of this project and an active member of the Castleberry community, or Carl Booker, an entrepreneur looking to expand his Off the Hook franchise. In addition to that, organizations such as the Black Girl Beautiful movement, which is an organization dedicated to empowering young African American women. In addition to that, looking at historic icons such as H.J. Russell, a notorious member of the Castleberry community, but also the founder of Russell & Co., one of the largest minority-owned construction companies in America. And when looking at the historic district, we also start noticing that there is a composition that is really unique, such as elongated parapets, corbelled cornices, brick cladding, terracotta finishes, and also heavy timber structures. And when looking at the walkability of this place, we understand that it is somewhat decent, although with some precarious room for growth. But if I were to define the identity of this place, I would define it as vibrant, community-driven, and also iconic because of its adjacency to the stadium and also the historic railroad. And it is also important to recognize the environmental conditions that are predetermined, as well as the conditions of the site, which are broken down into 3 different heights throughout the site. And I really used that as a driver for this project, by which I wanted to create 3 different moments, one for arrival, one for sports and activity, and one for mixed use. In addition to that, there were 3 goals with this project, which were lowering the cost of rent, favoring local economies for the majority demographic, avoiding the displacement of these communities, and also avoiding gentrification, because when we look at this map, we understand that this vacant lot that is the site needs to respond to an already gentrified area that is and cannot displace the communities that are here.
I'll take a look at that sign up there. See what it says? Cash for your home. You know what that is? It's a billboard. What are y'all, Amos and Andy? Are you stepping and he's fetching? I'm talking about the message, what it stands for. It's called gentrification. It's what happens when the property value of a certain area is brought down. Huh? You listening?
Yeah.
They bring the property value down. They can buy the land at a lower price. Then they move all the people out, raise the property value, and sell it at a profit.
So when defining a problem, looking at the site becomes a little bit different. We start to create opportunities for 3 moments in different planes. one meant for arrival, one meant for sports and activity, one meant for nourish and living. Then we introduce an axis that integrates the landscape heavily, and we develop a program that is utilizing a missing middle approach, which tries to constrain commercial activity in the first floor while elevating the housing units in the upper levels. In addition to that, architecture tries to utilize the environmental conditions to introduce both active and passive systems that actively create a environment that is desirable and approachable. And when looking at this roof plan view, we understand that there also needs to be a connection with the landmarks, such as the Mercedes-Benz Stadium and the iconic historic railroad. In addition to that, the density and traffic also becomes crucial. With this being an urban dwelling project, there needs to be spaces that are meant for the public in general, such as plaza spaces, parking spaces, and public courtyards, but also private spaces for loading docks, for the private residents to access their semi-private spaces and then private units, and commercial spaces as well, such as convenience stores, food halls, and of course sports and leisure amenities. And when developing this program, we do this sort of repetition of integrating community spaces with 2-bedroom and studio apartment units that repeat throughout the building. And assessing the needs for structural system and environmental conditions, and then the program itself in the way it operates throughout the building. And also considering for egress methods and mechanical systems as well. And so when looking at the housing unit model in general, I took the decision of making it more compact in order to be able to achieve the goal of lowering the price of rent, while also taking out laundry units, while opting for community laundries. And in addition to that, also responding to the structural, environmental, and circulation conditions and requirements for this type of design. And looking at a different model of housing unit for maybe people that are in the younger side of the majority demographic who are looking for a more affordable place to live. It becomes more compact, but it follows the same model essentially. And going back to the first level, there needed to be a way to implement an underlay to this development, by which people in the private sector would be able to utilize semi-private public spaces to have a community laundry, but also public commercial that is maybe shaded and acts as a small cafe or small restaurant. And has direct adjacency to the sports pavilion. And following the Code of Ordinances of the City of Atlanta, having spaces meant for parking and also maybe for renting these parking spaces to profit off the adjacency of the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. In addition to that, developing a program meant to favor the circular economy by teaching the practices of aquaponics, aeroponics, hydroponics, an active greenhouse, and of course an urban plaza for commercial activity in order to favor the local economies. And when looking at materiality and integrating the collaborators and organizations, we understand that there is a predominance for brick. And in addition to that, there is a relation of the site's topography to the building itself and the urban areas. And the structure should attempt to do no less than that as well, understanding the heritage and the history and implementing that into materiality, such as mass timber, but also promoting the environmental practices for long-lasting buildings. Here, opting for the use of dowel laminated timber, utilizing a locally sourced material, which is Georgia Southern Pine, which is frictioned with hardwood dowels, and being sourced locally, manufactured, and then processed to build in site. And then when developing a concrete structure for parking, there needed to be a justification for the use of concrete. So we utilized a live roof to host the sports pavilion. And going back into the housing building, finding the means of egress that were appropriate. In addition to that, the need for mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems as well. And when looking at this building in section, we understand that there are 3 different moments in different planes. One meant for arrival, one meant for sports, one meant for living. And understanding that this building is utilizing a missing middle approach, which utilizes commercial activity in the first floor, and then movement and living in the upper levels. In addition to that, there needed to be a connection to the vistas for the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So how does that relate to the project? And how do the permeable pavers as well try to tell the story of the railroad as well? And here's an in-depth visualization of those housing units, both from outside to inside. So this is the story of the Castleberry Hill Historic District. This development is not meant to invade, but it is meant to elevate the already established community. It is meant to favor their economy and also favor their joy and activity. Thank you. My name is Mauricio Gris, and this was my submission.